All right, 3, 2, 1. Hello, this is Robbie O'Daniel with the La Follette Press. I'm here with 4 of our candidates for County Commission in this year's election. And we're going to ask some questions and get them to answer them for us and introduce them to you, the viewers. So we have current incumbent County Commissioner Dwayne Baird representing the 3rd District. We have Dwight Osborne and Ralph Davis, who are both vying for seats in District 5 on the County Commission. And we have Chris Stanley, who's going for a seat in District 4 on the County Commission. They're seated in alphabetical order. They'll each get 3 minutes per question to provide their answers, and we'll start with a different person each time so we don't have the same person starting each question. So we'll start right off with an opening statement. We'll start with Dwayne Baird.
Yeah, just like to state, I'm Dwayne Baird, currently a commissioner in the 3rd District. This will be my 3rd term vying for a seat for the County Commission. Lifelong resident of Jacksboro. Grew up there. My family's originally from there. Currently Vice President of People's Bank of the South. Been there close to 13 years. Been in the financial side of things for a little over 15 years now.
All right. Thank you, Dwayne. Moving on with Dwight Osborne, your opening statement.
I'm Dwight Osborne. I'm a candidate for the District Commissioner at 5th District. I'd like to thank the La Follette Press and Robbie O'Daniel for hosting us tonight. I'm a lifelong resident of Jellicoe. I've noticed a lot of issues, and especially in the 5th District, but all across the county, that are very concerning. I'd like to be the voice of the people in the 5th District to bring their concerns and issues before the commission.
All right. Thanks, Dwight. Ralph, your opening statement.
Hey, I'm Ralph Davis. I'm running again for the 5th District Commissioner. I served as 8 years your commissioner. I served you when I was elected the last time. I would be a voice for you. I will be your voice again. We've not had a voice since I've been out in there. I was at a meeting tonight. There was not one of our commissioners there. They don't show up, vote for someone that's going to show up. I have the experience to do the job, and I appreciate it.
All right. Thanks, Ralph. And then closing us out on our opening statements with Chris Stanley.
I'm Chris Stanley. I'm running for County Commission in the 4th District. I'd love to be the elected official there, to be the representation for the people of the 4th District. I believe that the 4th District is the crown jewel of the county. It has 2 lakes in it, Cove Lake and Norris Lake. We are one of the gateways and exits of the county, and really excited about everything that the 4th District brings to the table. It is the first impression when you get off of the interstate. So we want to do everything that we can to make our county better. I'm running as a Republican this year, and want to thank the La Follette Press for having us come in today and express our desires to help the people. I want to be your servant. I believe that you're a servant of the people. You're the voice of the people. Because you're on the commission doesn't mean that you're any higher than the people that vote for you. So if they have something that they want to share with me, you reach out to me, and I'll be glad to bring that up and see what we can get done. And if nobody's asked you to vote for them yet, I'm asking for your vote. I'm asking that you vote for me and that I can be your servant and try to help our county grow. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Chris. And Chris brings up an important point. So Chris and Dwayne are both seeking the Republican nominations in their district, and Dwight and Ralph are running as independents in District 5. And everybody's going to be on that August ballot, just by the way the numbers shake up. All right, so moving on, we'll start the next question with Dwight. Why do you want to be a county commissioner?
I've served on the City Council in Jellicoe, and I've served on served as mayor of the City of Jellicoe. Like I said, there's a lot of issues across the county, a lot of problems that are a concern for me, and I really would like to represent the folks in all those communities in the 5th District. I'd like to see the county improve. We've got to bring some economic improvement to the 5th District. and I'd like to see those things happen during this next 4 years.
All right, thanks, Dwight. Ralph, same question. Why do you want to be a county commissioner?
Well, I want to serve the people of the county. If I'm elected, I'll be elected by the 5th district, but I'm still elected for the whole county. You can't separate it. So whatever the county needs to be done, I do it for the county. I work for the county, but my main interest will be the 5th district as it was before. We've got so many things that we haven't done that we need to finish getting them done. And just, my theory is, if I don't know what the problem is, I can't get someone to fix it. I can't fix nothing, but I know the person to go to get the job done in the county. Thank you.
Thanks, Ralph. And Chris, same question. Why do you want to be a county commissioner?
Yeah, I want to be a county commissioner we have 2 different municipal buildings in the 4th district, Caryville Municipal Building and also Jacksboro. So we have 2 towns there also that covers in the county. And we want to reach out and help those towns as well as the people in the county. One of the reasons that I'm running for the county commission is to try to improve some of the things in the county with the help of the commission. Of course, you know that a commissioner has 1 vote, but I do strongly believe that if we work together as one unit, that we can improve the county in the industrial field, in the recreational field, and all the other things that we need to meet as far as like in our county. The roads need some attention, and I want to try to help work on the budget for the roads to get us more money to help with the roads if that's possible. I know in budget cycles that you have to work with people in that. I've done 10 budgets. I was the mayor of Caryville for 4 years. I was on the city council for 6, and I know how to take and give on the budget. So to move the money around in different places without increasing the taxes is what we want to do. I was very fortunate to help Caryville grow at one of its growing spurts that it's had at the 141. We bring in new industrial, bring in different truck stops up there, different restaurants. 2 restaurants was brought in up there under my leadership, and of course with the grace of God. We have to have that also. So I want to do those things and try to implement new things for the county. And as some of the others said, we'll be working not just for the 4th district, but all across the county to try to see things done. I know some people have reached out to me and said, you know, one of the great things they'd like to see done is a sit-down restaurant. Don't know if we can get that done, but we're going to bring it up and see what we can do. And I know I've tried to do that before, and they pull stats on different things on that. But we'd love to see the county grow and love to see the county be a catalyst. That means for us to be looked at as the county, instead of us looking at another county and saying, what are they doing? They're looking at us and saying, we want to be like them. So if I'm elected, that's what I'm hoping to do, and that's why I want to help the county so much.
All right, thanks, Chris. And then rounding out this question with Dwayne Baird, why do you want to be a county commissioner?
Well, you know, first and foremost, I'd like to try to get things that's been started done. You know, as anybody that's been involved in county or even city for that matter, it takes time to get things done. It's not something that's done overnight. And you know, we've got some things in the works that we hope that will create some jobs and things like that. But also, you know, I'm really involved in the youth in the county. I do a lot of stuff involved in that, and I know decisions that we make today is going to affect those kids moving forward. And so I just want to make sure that the county's in great shape for, you know, not only my kids, but, you know, any other kid that's moving forward. And so that's my goal.
Thanks, Dwayne. Moving on to the next question, we'll start that one with Ralph. What are your qualifications?
My qualifications as a commissioner, first of all, I'm a born-again Christian, and I let God help me make my decisions. But I've been in business for myself for 45 years. I was a commissioner for 8 years, and during that 8 years, I helped balance 9 budgets. We were supposed to do 1 a year, but we did 9 in that year. And my qualification is I know how to check out the the people's budgets when they bring it in. We see if they bring up to a lot of increase in this money here, we ask them why you want it, and if they don't have a good reason, then you cut that back out. But my qualifications is I'm a hard worker. You need me, I'm there. If you call me, I'll call you back, and I work for the people. I'm a people person. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Ralph. Moving on with Chris. Same question. What are your qualifications?
Qualifications, like I said before, I've served as mayor for 4 years in Carrollville. I've balanced 10 budgets in my life, and I know that it is a qualification that you need. Budget decisions are really hard. Budget time's tough. We'll be asking for different things, but we also know there's some give and take on that. So if you give budget here, you got to take from something else. We don't want to take from anything that's important, but what we do want to do is to be a voice of the people and try to be that servant to them. And hopefully our qualifications stand that, you know, I'm running my own business now, so I've had a business for a while now, and I look forward to working with not only the 4th District, but the whole commission and getting these things done.
All right, thanks, Chris. Dwayne, same question. What are your qualifications?
Well, you know, obviously I've been a commissioner for going on the last 8 years. As I stated in my opening statement, you know, I've been in the finance side of things for the last roughly 15 years. So I've been involved in quite a bit of budget analyzation. And also, you know, I'm a small business owner here in Campbell County. I own 2 small businesses. So, you know, having that background along with the finance background and dealing with the budgets, I think I'm more than qualified to be a county commissioner.
All right, thanks, Dwayne. And then rounding this one out with Dwight, what are your qualifications?
Like I said before, I've been mayor of the city of Jellicoe and member of the council, and I too have worked with those budgets, and you learn how to look for the waste, cut the waste out, and use that money where it needs to be used. So I think all 4 of us here have had that experience working with budgets. I left a record of achievements when I left the city of Jellicoe, purchasing new equipment, fire trucks, street trucks, and so forth. And I left the city in the best financial condition it's been in probably before or since that time. So I think I'm qualified for the position, and I'd love to be the voice of the people.
All right, thanks, Dwight. And then for our next question, we'll start with Chris on this one. How would you approach working with the mayor, department heads, and others in Campbell County offices?
Yeah, we don't know at this present time, you know, who we're going to be working with yet. I've seen different councilmen come in different positions when I was the mayor and when I was also a councilman. And there's always somebody new and with new ideas and good ideas. And instead of just blowing them off, I think we need to sit down and really look at everybody's idea and say, how can this idea impact us and how can it help our county to grow? Because there's a lot of good ideas that are left on the table because we don't circulate them above just one person. So hopefully we can, in the future, work with the new council. And I look forward to working with the county commission and getting to know everybody and their new ideas. And hopefully they will be more satisfied with the new ideas than they have been in the past.
All right, thanks, Chris. And then moving on with Dwayne, the same question. How would you approach working with the mayor, department heads, and others in Campbell County offices?
Well, you know, I think I've worked well with those offices and department heads, you know, the last several years. You know, as you say, you know, different, you know, some's, you know, will be in 2 years and some will be this year. It could possibly change. So, you know, setting their budgets and what they're asking for, make sure it's able to be done. You know, if it's in reason, then yeah, you know, I'm gonna support it if it makes sense for the county. You know, moving forward. I feel like I'm a pretty easy guy to get along with, so get along with those department heads and the mayor and stuff. You know, I'm willing to listen. I've always been willing to listen. And I also give my 2 cents if I think there's something that needs to be different. I think people know that I'll give my 2 cents as well. But, you know, I think the most important thing is you gotta have a relationship with everybody. But, you know, just like in the budget, it's give or take. It's the same thing with your relationships. You know, you don't take it home with you. You know, we're not always gonna agree on everything, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with having disagreement. That's democracy. And so, but I think, you know, at the end of the day, if you got reason why you may disagree on something, I think you can agree that it makes sense and you understand why. But I think working with the department heads and mayor, I think will be simple. And like I said, you know, with my ability to sit down and talk and discuss problems or what may need to be done in that sense, that will help out along the way.
All right, thanks, Dwayne. Dwight, same question. How would you approach working with the mayor, department heads, and others in Campbell County offices?
Well, I think communication is the key. So you've got to talk to the other folks on the commission, county mayor, or department heads, whatever. But that's only part of it. The other part's listening. So you have to listen to what they say also. And compromise. If there's a reasonable compromise, sometimes you'll be able to reach a solution. You know, you don't want a deadlock on everything. There may be some issues where we might deadlock, but if there's a reasonable solution, it can be a compromise. I think that's a good way to start it. As far as department heads in the county, there are committees and so forth that oversee these departments. These employees can't have 16 or 18 different supervisors, so to communicate with them, you need to go through the proper channels. At the same time, there's nothing wrong with visiting those departments and hearing what those department heads' concerns are, how their operation works and stuff, and learn more about the details in those departments. So that would be my approach to working for them.
Okay, thanks, Dwight. And then moving on with Ralph, rounding this one out. How would you approach working with the mayor, department heads, and others in Campbell County offices?
Well, I can work with anybody. The mayor comes with a good idea. If it's good for the county, then I have no problems going with it. If it's something I don't feel that's the best thing for the county, I can give my opinion on it. But anytime I vote and make my decision, it's going to be the best for the county. Like Dwayne said, you can have a disagreement, and Dwayne, he's voted a time or two against me, but the next time he'd vote for me, so I'd have to come up with something worth voting for. And it's all about what's the best for the county. And working with the department heads, you don't interfere with them, but if they come to you and ask for some advice or you need to do something for them to get something done, then you do that. You let them come to you and stay out of their way, and things get along better. So don't run their department, let them run it. You just help them when they need help.
All right, thanks, Ralph. Moving on to the next question, we'll start this one with Dwayne. If elected, you're one of 15 county commissioners. How would you work with your fellow county commissioners to reach consensus on issues to get things done?
Well, I think the biggest thing is communication between commissioners. You know, that's what we've got the workshops for and things like that. And we voice our opinions in those events. You know, even the committees, you know, voice your opinion in committees. You know, I think, you know, there's I guess the right term would be is you know, you've got to cooperate with each other. And, you know, like you said, listen, communicate. You're not always going to agree. And you've got to understand that going in. You're not always going to agree on everything. But the communication is key. You know, knowing where you stand on something, letting them know where you stand on something. You know, that way if, you know, something comes up that you know, you just can discuss in those meetings. And hopefully come to an agreement. You know, that's like I said, that's part of democracy. You can agree to disagree on something, but at the end of the day, know that, you know, you both have the county's best interest at heart. It may not be the same agreement, but at the end of the day, you got to know that you both have the county's best interest at heart.
All right, thanks, Dwayne. Dwight, same question. You're one of 15 county commissioners. How would you work with your fellow county commissioners to reach consensus on issues to get things done?
Like I said, half of us talking, half of us listening. You gotta listen to those fellow commissioners on the county board to consider all the ideas. And, anybody can bring an issue before the commission. I think it's a good idea when you bring an issue to bring a solution. It may not be the right solution or perfect, but it may spark an idea in somebody else. Like I said, compromise. Sometimes you may have a solution that you like, but it may not be the right solution. You need to be able to compromise to find the right solution. But by the same token, you need to be able to represent the people in your district as well as thinking about the county-wide effect of anything.
All right, thanks, Dwight. Ralph, same question. You're one of 15 county commissioners. If you're elected, how would you work with the other county commissioners to reach consensus on the issues to get things done?
Well, my 8 years as a county commissioner, being Dwayne here, he had a vote in everything that was done for the 5th district and for the county. We put all these new compactors all over the county, 15 of them to be exact, and we won an award from the state of Tennessee when we was in Memphis that we cleaned up our county. We saved the bears. The bears at White Oak they were talking about killing them all out, and we came up with this and put the compactors in. The bears can't get in the garbage. Got rid of the bears, got an award for that. We bought several new pieces of equipment for the county. We paved all the county facilities where they pick up the garbage at. Built a new park at Longest Young. Should have wrote it down. There's 30-some things that when we was in as a commissioner, we done for the 5th district for this county that did so much wondrous work for this county. And even now after I was left, we tried to do it before, but Dwayne, I'm helping Dwayne here, they put compactors in all the 5th district schools. We did a lot. We'll do a lot more. I can work with all the commissioners. I've got proof of everything that they did for the 5th district and for this county. I can work with them all. I have no problems. I can work with anybody, and I'm ready and willing to do it. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Ralph. And then round this one out with Chris. If you're elected, you're one of 15 county commissioners. How would you work with your fellow county commissioners to reach consensus on issues to get things done?
Yeah, I like to think of myself as a voice of reason. I'm not going to county commission to stir the pot. I'm there to help the people of the county. I want to work with each and every individual up there of the 15 that's elected. If elected, I got to get elected first. But if I am elected by the people, I do want to work with each one. And I know each representation of the county is important for the county, because together we can all complete tasks. Divided, we can't do anything. So we don't want to go up there and create a lot of gridlock. We want to see the county move forward, and I know that I can do that. I've worked with many people on different departments and enjoyed that. And I think when we have an idea, we need to bring it to the table and sell it and close it. And also realize the compassion and the love that the other people have for their districts too, and that they're doing the same thing. And we have to sit back, like they said, we may not always agree on something, but it's just at that time. It's nothing personal. It's just business, and it's for the county and to do things right for the county and see it grow. I want to work with all the commissioners.
All right, thanks, Chris. Next question, we'll start with Dwight on this one. What goals do you have for your time as county commissioner if elected?
Well, I don't know about hard, fast goals, but like I said, there's a lot of concerns. One of those is the number of ambulances available at times that are available for emergency calls. I'd like to work on that and see if we couldn't improve that a little bit. The declining population in the 5th district is a big concern to me, and it should be a concern to everybody because it's going to affect every other district as that population declines. 5th district's got to grow in area, and that's going to shrink the other districts. But part of that is due to employment. People are leaving to find employment elsewhere. At the same time, the 5th district has been shrinking in population. The rest of the county's pretty much growing in population, or at least holding steady. So we've got to do something to bring those folks back into the 5th district economically, whether that's industrial, businesses, tourism, whatever it takes. We'll have to improve the quality of life of the 5th district. We've got an industrial park, Oswego Industrial Park. There's 4 parcels left in that park that are usable. And they're so grown up right now, you can't tell where they're at. I'd like to see those cleared off and some improvements made there. There's some infrastructure that's close by. There's no infrastructure actually in those parcels. So there's some improvements to be made there. And I'd like to see some recruitment of industry and businesses, not just for the whole, not just for the 5th district, but for the whole county, but especially in the 5th district. This loss of population had a big effect on our school systems. White Oak Elementary's down to a very low number now, so as our schools get smaller, eventually they have to look at closing schools. I don't want to see that happen. I want those schools to be able to grow again and have more students. But you can't do that without people living there. Once a community loses a school, it loses its identity pretty much. And I think that's an important thing in the 5th district. There's other concerns. You know, we've got a major drug problem. I think every official needs to be working with the sheriff and whoever to help out on that, whatever it takes, whether it's education or what. But we need to all be concerned about this. And I've got several other concerns that I'd like to bring before the commission at the right time.
Thanks, Ralph. Ralph, same question. What goals do you have for your time as county commissioner if elected?
Well, I would like for the mayor that's which one is elected, he's the figurehead of the county. And personally, I think it's his job to get out and try to get in some industry here. We need someone to recruit. We need a recruiter. We need the mayor's office to recruit jobs. The commissioner's job will be to make deals with them and help them. That's our job. But it's the mayor's job, I think, to get out and work and try to get jobs in here. 5th district could not probably handle a couple 50, 60 employee buildings, jobs. We couldn't do a 500 employees, but we could take, and the whole county, we need to go after the small businesses. So if we could get several of them, and I would work with the mayor, I'd work with the commission, and we need to try to get industry in here. And you can't spend money if you don't have it. And people can't live if they ain't jobs. Yeah, our school system is look, the whole county is down. The whole county is down. They are 2,483 people leaves Campbell County every day to go to Anderson County and out of town to work. There's 424 come back into county. So it's roughly 2,000 people has to leave this county to go work. We need to bring in jobs, and so these people can stay home. We need to work with the mayor, and the mayor needs to help us and bring us decisions to be made. That's all we ask. Bring us decisions. Most of these commissioners is got a full-time job. It's hard for them to get out and recruit. That's why you've got a mayor that the government don't want to send 15 commissioners a letter telling you something to be. The mayor's the figurehead of the county. They send him one letter and he divides it and tells us about it. But it's the mayor's job, I think. They may not think that way, but they should be the one out recruiting jobs, and the commission is the one that makes the deals to help them stay. Yeah, appreciate it.
All right, thanks, Ralph. Chris, same question. What goals do you have for your time as county commissioner if you are elected?
Well, I would like to see the county grow. 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 I would like to see the county
Well, I also want to touch base there on the industrial. I'd like to be part of the industrial board, and also excited for the 4th district that we have a. Yes, my goals as county commissioner would be to try to help the industrial board. I'd like to get on the industrial board. We have a great project going on in the 4th district, as many people know and are excited in the county about rare earth and what it's going to bring to our county. Now, this will be jobs in the 4th district, but it will be jobs that will be created all over the county. We are going to use the resources that we have to bring in jobs. It is a tough job to bring in jobs, but it can be done. When I was serving as the mayor in Caryville, we had a group that did body armor. They went and left and moved somewhere else. We had an empty vacant building, and we went down and talked to a group that had the same kind of industry going on, and they moved from Clinton to Caryville. I'm very proud of that. Me and the owner of the building worked very hard with them and the county, and very excited about creating new jobs. We created new jobs at Matex. Of course, what we need to do is support these companies when they come here so that they don't leave. And that's a hard line. You can't always give a company everything that they want. We can give them and try to keep people here, but sometimes people find grass that's greener somewhere else and they leave. But our job is to come back and try to fill the jobs that left, where it be in retail or industrial or whatever. We have been bringing jobs into the county. It may not be the jobs that everybody's wanting, but right now there is jobs that are being created by the county, and like to keep that momentum going, as well as getting more industrial jobs in. And we look forward to trying to recruit new businesses.
All right, thank you, Chris. And then Dwayne, to run this one out, what goals do you have for your time as county commissioner if elected?
Well, I think kind of what everybody else says, I would like to see some more industry coming in. And we've got some things in the works as far as that goes. Another thing that I would like to see happen is the county commission to try and work with the school system. The voucher program has hurt our school system quite a bit. We got a lot of kids that are, homeschool and things like that. So I'd like to try to get the county commission to help the school system set up an online school. Don't want to go overboard, but maybe start with 200 kids max first year and kind of work its way up. Because those kids that's homeschooled, we're not getting that money. They're not in our system, so the school system's losing that money. I'd also like to, for example, like Matex or some company like that may be interested in coming up or expanding. A 4-year university is not for every kid. It sure wasn't for me when I was in high school. And so I'd like to maybe work with them and see if we can get some type of vocational program, whether it be on the grounds of the school or somewhere else, to where those kids are trained, either on the machines or something like that. That way when they graduate high school, they can go right into that field, have a good, solid paying job, and be successful in life. So that's kind of the things that I would like to work on if reelected.
All right, thanks, Dwayne. Next question, we'll start with Ralph on this one. A crucial thing the county commission does each year is pass its annual budget. What experience do you have with working on a budget? And are there ways that you would support shifting spending away or toward different items if elected?
Well, as I said before, when I was a commissioner for 8 years, we did 9 budgets. You got to look at each budget, and I'll be honest with you, most of that year I was in there, the figureheads that brought their budget to the commission was pretty much right on the money. We never did, I think, have no one that overloaded one side or the other. But if they did, we would look at it and they would explain why it was there. If they've got a good reason there's an increase, then you got to go with it. But I can work with them. But if I see waste, I'll bring it up. But we have to work with them and make sure they ain't wasting money. And a lot of times, the budget they had last year, when I was in there, their budget was pretty much the same thing the next year. So I've not really had the experience to having to dogfight someone because they're trying to waste money. So, but if it come up, I'm the man that would demand that show me what you need it for. And, you know, even like in our schools, we got to support our schools. Yeah, we're losing students. But another thing is I don't agree with no child left behind. I think if we could help our community, now here's my part. You pass a kid that can't read. On average, 60% of the students that go to high school reach the 3rd grade level. And they're hollering, no kid left behind. Well, when that kid graduates high school, he's thrown out into the world and can't even read. We need to come up with a problem. The help this town, this community, is take a class and put all the kids that cannot read a 1st grade level if they're in the 4th grade and put them all together and start them over and learn them to read till they get to the 4th grade level and then move them on and catch them back up. But please, we need to quit just sending kids out without an education. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Ralph. Chris, same question. You know, what experience do you have with working on a budget, and are there ways that you'd spend money differently?
Yes, I've had experience working on 10 budgets, and I know that everybody here that has done a budget has went through the same things that I went through, and there's give and take on the budget. The one thing I don't like to see in a department head's budget is this. We get down to the last 2 months, and they've got X amount of dollars left, and they want to spend all of that, so that they say, we spent all of it, we want the same back. So what I'd like to see us do when we're working on those budgets and we see things like that, that is waste. You don't just go out and buy stuff just because you've still got money in your budget. Bring that back, let us use it where we need to use it instead of wasting it that way. And I've seen that over and over before. Now it looks like each year that they've spent the same. The people that are running these budgets, when we give them to them, a lot of times they say, well, we got 3 months left. If we don't spend it, we're going to lose it. And I think everybody here tonight would agree that that happens on a lot of budgets. So that is things that we need to look at. Do we really need the things that we're buying? Can we cut a little fat where a little fat needs to be cut and put it on things that are more serious for the county? And I think that we can. I think that we have the knowledge. One of the things that I hit on a little bit on the roads, I think Mr. Delback has done a fantastic job on the roads. But one of the things that he needs is more funding for the roads, because it takes about $100,000 to pave 1 mile of road. And I think everybody needs to wrap their mind around that. Think about how little money goes when you're talking about paving and doing things like that. So when people come into the county, if we have bad roads, that's a first impression. So we definitely need to look at that and see if we can get more money on those situations. Because I don't think there's anybody in any district here tonight that can say that the roads are in good shape in Campbell County, that they couldn't use more money to fix the roads with. The second thing I like to say is, is that, with the roads being fixed, you can bring industry in. And we have, I feel like in years past we couldn't bring industrial in because that we didn't have the workforce. Now we've got one of the biggest state-of-art schools here for hands-on learning, and we're ready. Campbell County is ready for a boom, and we have the workforce and we have the technology to, if we can work in Anderson County and in Knox County, we can work right here, put our hands to the plow, and we can make Campbell County one of the best counties in Tennessee.
All right, thanks, Chris. And then Dwayne, the same question. What experience do you have with working on a budget, and are there ways that you would spend differently?
Obviously being on the county commission in the last going on 8 years, I've balanced a lot of budgets. There's areas that I would like for us to explore. I'm not going to say that I wish we would spend differently as far as it goes, but I think there's some other things that I wish we would explore. That's probably something I'll bring up in the budget cycle that's coming around. I'm not going to say that I'm things that I would want to change or anything like that, but the question for me would be, I just want to explore, see if it's an option. If it makes sense for us, okay, then we can do it. If not, well, then we won't. You know, you don't know unless you look into it to see if it's better for the county. You know, just because we did this way 10 years ago doesn't mean that it's still the best way to do it today. You know, and there's some things long before 10 years and long before, you know, Ralph or any of us even thought about running for commission that were done that still be in place today that, you know, when you look back at it, that was a dumb decision. And so, you know, I would just like to look into some things and see if it's a better option or not.
Thanks, Dwayne. And then Dwight, to round this one out, what experience do you have with working on a budget and other ways that you'd spend differently?
Well, for the 8 years I served the city of Jellicoe, I always like to look at the budget, and like Chris said, cut out the fat. If it's wasteful, you don't need to be spending it. You need to place that money where it's needed, where it'll do some good. I think I was able to do that, and I managed those budgets. As mayor, I managed it every year, and I would keep a check on that budget daily and weekly to make sure that it was in line, because there's two parts to that budget. One is revenue, and one is expense. You can't spend more than you take in. And sometimes when revenue is low, you've got to adjust your spending. Even if it's budgeted, sometimes you have to adjust that spending down to keep from going over budget. It's just facts of the way government operates. You know, this time of year, property taxes are coming in. You're not going to go over budget on expenses right now, but June, July, you really got to watch it close to make sure that you don't go over budget. So, you know, those are the things that I do to work with the budget.
Thanks, Dwight. Next question, we'll start with Chris on this one. Would you ever support a tax increase?
I don't think that a tax increase is the answer to the problems. I think that we can increase our tax base by creating more jobs. I think that when you increase people's money, then they spend more money, and then by a way of that, then the tax budget increases, and then we all can experience the money that we need to run the budget. But no, I don't think that taxing is the right way. As I said before, I'm a Republican, I'm a conservative. I don't believe that taxing solves our item issues that we have. I think that rolling up the sleeves, really getting to work on the budget and looking at, you know, the pork that's on the barrelhead and see if we can cut it in different places. And my hope is that, you know, our revenue will go up with more jobs created in the county, which will give us more money to spend on a lot of different projects. And I love some of the projects that these men said tonight that they was part of. That's one of the reasons I want to be part of county commissions, be part of something great. We don't want to be a problem. We want to be a problem solution to everything. And so I would not be for new taxes, but I would be for creating jobs to increase our tax revenue, bringing in restaurants, retail, different things like that we have seen in these last 4 years. We have seen that in the restaurants and in the retail. Those things bring great money and good tax bases, and then more jobs for everybody. So if we do that on top of bringing in more industry, I think that we will see our county grow. For 18 years, I worked at a place called Denso Manufacturing in Maryville, Tennessee. When I went there, I was, you know, there wasn't much in Maryville. That's just, you know, that's hard to believe when you go through there now. My number at the plant was 1489. I was the 1489th person that was hired there at Denso. When I left, there was 10,000 numbers that had been hired. If you go over there and you look at what they have done with the revenue that they have got from this industry, And now they employ over 10,000 people. Those creates housing. That puts money in people's pocket. And I'm also a big component of what Dwight was saying earlier is you cannot spend more than you take in. It's simple math. Nobody does it at home. We're not sliding the credit card. We're not trying to get ourselves in debt. We're saying what we're bringing in and what we're giving out. And so I am a big opponent of let's create more jobs, let's cut the fat, and no new taxes.
All right, thanks, Chris. Dwayne, same thing. Would you ever support a tax increase?
Well, I think anybody that just sits here and gives an answer no isn't being realistic. Would I support one currently? No, I would not. For me to support a tax increase, there had to be a lot of things change. I think, as I stated in the question before, you got to look at all options. And if you're not willing to look at all options, then no, I wouldn't support a tax increase. There's been talks about trying to raise the sales tax to 9.75. That way, obviously they consider that the fairest tax because it hits everybody, even the tourist. At that point, I think at one time they said that would generate $1 million a year, roughly, if it went up to 9.75 instead of 9.25. But in order for me to vote for a property tax increase, there'd have to be a lot of things change. We'd have to go down every road and see, where the cuts could be at, what could we change, could we outsource this, and those nature. So to answer your question, would I ever support one? I can't sit here and say, no, I wouldn't, but based off the way things are today, no, I wouldn't support a property tax increase.
Thanks, Dwayne. Dwight, same question. Would you ever support a tax increase?
A lot of people in the 5th District live on a fixed income. And you got to consider that when you think about taxes. And right now, people struggle to pay the taxes. So, I'm like Dwayne, I won't say never, but I will say I'm not for it right now. I can't see it in the future. 4 years I served as a mayor of the city of Jellicoe. I didn't have any tax increases. I found ways to trim waste, cut the fat, save on that budget, use it where it was needed, and keep the tax rate level.
All right, and thanks, Dwight, and then Ralph, rounding this out, would you ever support a tax increase?
Well, I never would want to. I would go to all extremes to make sure there's no waste. When you give a budget, what you give them last year, you have to give them that the next year. But you can't waste. We got to try to get jobs in here. We got to do everything we can do, from the mayor down to the commissioners, to bring industry in here, to bring revenue in here, and bring jobs, so you don't have to raise taxes. But if you had to raise taxes, no, I don't want to, but I've always been big enough man to make the decision to do what needs to be done for the best of the county, and I can still do that. Taxes, what people's got to understand too, if the commissioners raise taxes, they got to pay them too. So it's a last resort of any of us to ever want to raise taxes. And so you can say, hey, we ain't gonna raise taxes. Well, eventually the state will come in and make you. They had them once before in Campbell County. They was gonna put them all in jail. So no, I don't want to raise taxes. I want to save money and make money and bring jobs in here. And we can do it with the right people in the office. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Ralph. And then we move on to our last question before the closing statement. And we'll start with Dwayne on this one. What do you believe is the biggest problem in Campbell County?
I think the biggest problem is lack of opportunity. I love Campbell County. Like I said, I lived here all my life. But I think if you look at probably go back 10 years and probably grab the top 10 students from each graduating class, I'd say probably half of them probably don't live in Campbell County anymore because they didn't have the opportunity they didn't feel like they had the opportunity to succeed in Campbell County. Now, there's also a lot of kids that are in the top 10 that have been very successful that still live in Campbell County. I'm not saying that they can't be, but they chose a different path and the opportunity wasn't here for them to succeed. I think one of the problems with Campbell County is, what do you want to be? Do you want to be a retirement community? Do you want to be an industry leader? If you want to be a retirement community, you're going to have growth. That means you're going to have to support subdivisions coming into your community. You're going to support, any industry that wants to come in. You're going to support that. And if that's what you want, then we're going to make it easier to have growth. Maybe in the banking industry, here recently I had a guy had some land and he wanted to put in a subdivision. So it cost him $65,000 a lot to develop that subdivision. That's crazy. That's what drives up the cost for housing, and so forth. So I think you got to decide whether you want to be a retirement community, and like I said, if you're going to be a retirement community, you're going to have growth to keep from having to have a property tax increase. And so I think that's the biggest challenge, is lack of opportunity.
Thanks, Wayne. The same question. What do you believe is the biggest problem in Campbell County?
I don't think there's a single biggest problem in Campbell County. I think we have a combination of a lot of problems. Economic development, drugs, growing the tax base. We need to look at all those things, not just one thing. There's no one single solution for all of it. We've got to look at the county as a whole. The problems may be tackled individually, but they all need to be tackled. So there's a lot of problems, a lot of concerns, and I think we need to address all those, whether it's me or Ralph or whoever's elected. They need to take a look at all those problems and start addressing those. The longer they go, the worse they're going to get.
All right, thanks, Dwight. Ralph, same question. What do you believe is the biggest problem in Campbell County?
The biggest problem in Campbell County is jobs. We've got to get out. If we have to hire a recruiter through the mayor's office and recruit and bring in here and show them that we're the best county of the 95 to live in. I've said it once before, if Jesus come back to live, he'd come to Campbell County. These people are wonderful. We've got a beautiful county, good people. And we need to try to get jobs in here. You get jobs in here, you got revenue coming in, and then these other problems you can work with them. Money's a problem. If you don't have money, you can't spend it. You can't buy nothing, you can't do nothing, so you're locked. So to start with, we got to bring in revenue. And then the rest of them we can work out and get rid of it and make us a better place to live. And just like these guys are all said, I've got 7 grandkids. And I don't want to see one of them have to leave this community to live. I want them to stay here with me. They spoil me rotten. So I want to get jobs so my grandkids and yours grandkids can stay home and us be a family all together. Thank you.
Thanks, Ralph. And then right now, this one, Chris. What do you believe is the biggest problem in Campbell County?
Yeah, I also believe that one of the challenges that Campbell County has had for a while, but we need to really look at our industrial. We do have a lot of people going out of the county to get jobs. I have been part of that group. Most of my life I have worked outside the county. It wasn't because there wasn't jobs here, it was that the jobs didn't pay as well as they did other places. So what we want to do when we're trying to recruit these industrial properties is also we want to not just get anybody, but we want somebody that's going to bring in good jobs to the community, that's going to put money in people's pocket and try to help them to build a life, not just for themselves. I mean, to where that they can afford a house, that they can put a couple cars in the driveway, that they can raise their grandchildren here, they can raise their children here, and then that whenever they go out and play ball or something, they say, I'm from Campbell County, they say, hey, that's a nice county. Of course, we've got majestic mountains, we've got beautiful lakes, we've got resources like nobody. We've got a lot of tourism here. We know that brings in a lot of money. But there is other parts other than tourism. We got to have the tourism. There ain't no doubt about that. But we also have to have industrial in there. We have to have restaurants for the people that are here and when the tourists come in too. So the recruiting base will not just be on just one side or the other, but to grow the whole county, not just in the 4th District, but over in Jellicoe in the 5th District, and the 3rd, the 2nd, and the 1st, to try to get everything that we can out of each part of the county to make the whole county grow. Because when the whole county grows, then we see people more educated. I believe that our schools is a light. My daughter's a school teacher. She does a great job with the kids that she's had. I'm very proud that she stayed in Campbell County. She's had opportunities to go to other counties. I'm glad that she stayed in Campbell County. I'm proud of our county. I don't want to put on another jersey from another county and support that county, because I believe Campbell County is where I have lived for 53 years, and I think it's great. I think it's a great place to grow up. I think it's a great place to live. We just need to try to work together with all the districts to make the whole county great. That's what it's about. It's the 5th District working with the 4th, the 2nd working with the 1st and 3rd, and all of us getting together and trying to recruit these. Not just, see, when the 5th District gets industrial, the 4th District wins too. The 3rd District wins. Everybody wins when we get a mass amount of people working and bringing money to the table. Everybody works. The banks do great. Everybody does great. The small businesses does great. And I'm excited about it. I mean, I'm very close to these towns, and I'm excited. Since I've been here, Campbell County has grown. I remember when you could go down through here, there wasn't many places to eat. Now it's like, where are we going to go? It's a hard decision sometimes to think, where are we going to eat? But I would still like to see the county grow, and I appreciate everybody that's been working on it, and I hope to be part of the solution instead of part of the problem.
All right, thanks, Chris. And now we have our closing statement, and we'll start with Dwight.
55 ain't always
Well, again, thank you all for having us here tonight, the opportunity to speak to the public. I appreciate that opportunity. I would love to serve the people in the 5th District as a county commissioner. I'd like to be their voice. Be proud to bring their concerns and their issues before the council or the commission, and to advocate for those concerns, and you know, just do the best job I can for the county and for the 5th District.
All right, thanks, Dwight. Ralph, closing statement.
Well, it'd be an honor to serve Campbell County again as your commissioner. When I ran the first time, there's 4,280 people lived in Campbell County. Today, there's 49,800, give or take a few. So it's grown. But the jobs is not grown. We've having people to retire and move here. So, but we need to keep our people in the county. We need to do our work, and that's what I'm here to do. I want to try to work with everybody and let's improve our county. Improve our school system. We can't tell the school what to do, but we can bring in new jobs and bring our kids back. Every school's losing kids, but our county's still growing. And where's our money going to? We've got to work together and put this county back together and make things better for everybody. Thank you.
Thanks, Ralph. Chris, a closing statement.
Yeah, I'd just like to say to the people in the 4th District, want to reach out to you and say, I would be proud to serve you as your elected official in the 4th District. I'm super proud of where I live in Caryville. I love Jacksboro. This is part of my district. Both municipal buildings are in my district. The only district that has 2 municipal buildings in it. And I believe that there has been tremendous growth in the 4th District from these 2 places. We look forward to serving you. And when you let me know what is on your mind, I'm going to bring it to the commission. Now, they may not approve it. I know that I've got 1 vote. But I've got a voice. I'll stand up for the people. I'll do what I tell you to do. I'll show up. to the meetings. I'll make my presence known for the people, not for my agenda, but for your agenda. I would really like to serve you and be your servant as county commissioner. Thank you, and God bless.
All right, thanks, Chris. And then rounding us out,
Well, I just want to thank you guys for allowing me to come and speak. Being on the commission close to the last 8 years, I've learned a lot. When I first went in almost 8 years ago, I was green. I knew a lot about budget and stuff in the 3rd district. Had faith in me to try to lead them, and then reelected me again almost 4 years ago. There's still a lot of work to be done, and I think I've stated that earlier, that there's still a lot of work to be done, and I want to see a lot of that get fulfilled before I'm out. I think we're on the cusp of some stuff that could be really big for the county, and I want to see that happen. And I hope that the 3rd district will support me once again for another 4 years.
all right, and thank you all for joining us, and be sure to tune in as we have more debates as we get closer and closer to the August election. So, thank you.